Hey, so today on my live stream, we were talking a little bit about Uphold and Uphold's relationship with Cred and offering up credit, offering up interest to money, fiat currency, or digital assets that are put on the Uphold exchange. And I want to talk a little bit more about that today. Hey, this is Jeff with the HODL Report, and join me on today's video as we dive a little deeper into the Uphold Cred relationship, and let's look exactly at what they're actually offering to us. So let me turn over to look at the Uphold website. All right, so right here we're going to go through kind of step by step. I want to look at some of the updates. If you guys haven't really looked into it in a little while, and I haven't really dug into the Uphold website for a little bit. I've been using the app primarily, but let's scroll down here. I think this is really interesting. I like using Uphold. I think it's a great solution for easy investing, for easy buying of digital assets. But if we look here, you'll notice that they're supporting 23 fiat currencies, 9 cryptocurrencies or digital assets, and 4 precious metals. So some of the new things that are going on with Uphold right now, if we look primarily what we've known Uphold for as a digital asset exchange, easy funding, instant conversion, blockchain access. Obviously, here's what's new. Earn, and we heard about this a little ways back, but this has all been coming on live over the past couple weeks, but actually just in the past few days, they've actually given permission to provide this as a solution in the US and in 28 states. Now, I've looked everywhere on the website. I've looked everywhere through the FAQs, and it's very, very limited in the amount of information that's actually available. The other part here, the other component is borrow. Now, we're going to dig a little bit more into what the earn means, because there's actually a relationship, again, as I mentioned, with Uphold and Cred. And we'll take a look at Cred here in a second. Now, the borrow section, access to low-cost credit secured by your digital asset currency or digital currency holdings. I think between earn and borrow, Uphold is really making a big progression away from digital exchange to full-on bank solution. In terms of, if we really dig into the core principle of a bank, put your money in the bank, hold your money somewhere that is in a bank that's safe, secure, allows you to earn interest, and allows you to borrow. Now, in this case, you're not able to borrow on credit. You're borrowing based off of holding your digital asset as collateral. Now, on the earning side, you're putting your digital asset up into a 6-month hold to gain somewhere between 3 to 10%. And we're going to dive in a little bit deeper into what that actually means and really which digital asset you're going to be benefiting from if you decide to do that. We're going to look at the pros and the cons. Now, the third section here is debit card. Now, I think this is very interesting, and we're seeing a trend in the space. Early on the live stream, we also talked about BAB, B-A-B-B, and their Bax coin, the BAB app. If you go check that out, they're getting into the microeconomy, micro payment space, micro banking. We'll talk about that in another video. And here with the debit cards really allows you to use your digital assets, or really using any of the currencies that you hold on Uphold with the debit card. There's no other information about it other than what it says here as coming soon. Now let's go over and take a look at Cred. Okay, so over here, what we're going to look at now, this is the relationship. There's an API connection. Essentially, Uphold is a partner with Cred to really extend the interest earned on the digital asset holdings. Your individual login on Uphold, once you go through the process to gain access to Cred, will give you access to Cred. It's whether really making a determination as to whether or not you want to open up your access via, even if it's via API, even if it's a one-way communication. unknown because as much as I've dug in, again, I can't find all of the details in their FAQs and their about us. Really, there's not that much information really to make a good determination. Now, I love the concept. I think it's a great idea. But again, the pros is that we're seeing really a blurring of the lines between the digital exchange and a traditional bank concept. And we're starting to see some of the banks blurring into the digital asset space as well in terms of what JP Morgan is doing with the JPM coin. Look at Cred. I like this statement. A better way to earn and borrow. Own your own financial future, earn interest, or borrow with your digital assets. Now, on its face, it looks great. It's a great concept. But again, they really don't get enough into detail to give us what we want to say, am I secure? What's the process? And for that, we're going to go into an FAQ that Uphold put out. But here, put your money to work for you as it was meant to. Save your crypto assets, earn interest, and borrow. Cred earn up to 10% annualized interest rate on your crypto or stablecoin. Now, if it's just sitting there and you're not going to do anything with it and you don't anticipate any big hikes in pricing, you don't anticipate the bear market turning into a bull market and wanting to sell, hey, you know what? If your digital assets are just sitting and doing nothing, you might as well earn interest. Now, you would also want some form of security to back that up. You want some insurance to know that if something happens, that they're going to provide you with your digital assets back and the interest that they owe you. Now here, don't park your investment without earning. That's an interesting concept. Now, Cred borrow, get the best of both worlds. Hold your crypto while gaining access to liquidity through their credit line. Again, exactly what Uphold is offering because they're partnering with Cred. This is putting your digital asset as a collateral for the loan, which kind of makes sense if you don't have credit. Then you can instantly get some form of credit, again holding your investment as collateral, so you don't need to come out of pocket with more money. Now, on the downside of that or the plus side, you can look at it either way. This is your money they're holding, or your investment they're holding as collateral. You're incentivized to want to get that paid back as soon as possible, but then you gain access to it back, so you're essentially paying them a percentage to basically borrow against your own savings, which is a nice way of doing it. Here's the interest. I know I'm putting my money back into my own bank account, and as it's an investment, inevitably the anticipation is that it's going to increase in value. So you kind of gain twofold. However, again, you want to make sure that it's secured. You want to make sure you're paying it back. You also want to make sure that you're not anticipating some big bull market where you're going to want to get out of it or sell it or what have you. So really, there's a lot of decision making when it comes to borrowing against your own investment there. So what is Cred Earn? Cred Earn is a financial product that allows owners of crypto assets to earn interest on their crypto holdings. We talked a little bit about that right on the website. What do you do with my crypto assets? Cred offers crypto lending on collateralized or guaranteed basis. Your crypto assets are used to lend. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to lend out your crypto assets. So that's the flip side of it. How do I know they're safe? Now, this is an interesting question because it's going to be followed up with the fact that it's not FDIC backed, which is from an insurance perspective. If something happens to Cred, we're concerned about what happens to individual digital asset, but what if something happens to Cred? But here, how do I know they're safe? Cred works with various collateral agents and leading service providers to ensure the safety of your assets. So during the during the loan term, Cred manages its risk by employing a hedging strategy. So again, this is just determining the risk of your investment, assuming that nothing happens to Cred. So let's keep going down this list. Do I need to create an account with Creditor? Now you do, but if you're already on Uphold, you can use the same login credentials through an API, but they're still going to require additional information under enrollment for KYC and AML verification only. So only customers who complete and successfully pass the verification are eligible participate. So first steps first, you have to really decide if you're comfortable creating the link between Uphold and Creditor, and if you want to go and investigate a little further. And then at that point, you still need to fill out additional information, KYC and AML for verification purposes. Now, how would owning and holding LBA token benefit me for Creditor? Now, LBA is the native digital asset token for Creditor. And so Cred's Lend Borrow Asset, LBA token, is designed to enable affordable and equitable access to credit. Now, you can get the LBA token on multiple exchanges, including Uphold. And I believe it's now at like it was either 12 cents or 0.01 1 cent. I forget exactly what it's at right now. We'd have to double check. Oh, look at that. Now my internet's back up. So we can take a look online here in a minute. Now, the utility for LBA token holders and credit is currently first priority access to join the program and start. So anyhow, it looks like you're going to have to potentially get LBA tokens to participate. Not exactly sure. Where can I get them? As an Uphold customer, you can get them there. You can get them on other exchanges. Does Cred perform OFAC and other sanction list screening? Yes, all customers are subject to scanning against the Office of Foreign Asset Control, OFAC, list and other compliance records. This is to comply with AML, which is anti-money laundering requirements. The OFAC process is initiated in real time. So they do a full background check to make sure they're doing their AML, their KYC, their so you have the anti-money laundering. And we covered that up in this spot as well. So that's important that they're doing that part. Can I sign up to earn interest on more than one digital asset? And they say absolutely. You can pledge any of the supported digital asset types that Cred Earn currently offers. So we'll go down and see what they currently offer. Now here, so for example, you sign up to earn interest on both your BTC and XRP. Now, they only do it at the beginning of a month and the middle of a month. So it starts on the 1st and the 15th. If you miss that investment period, they're going to hold it over until the 15th. So if you put it on January 2nd, it's not actually going to go in until the 15th, and then it's held from that period forward. So why did I get notified on a delay? So there could potentially be delays if they've, and so let's see, if the minimum loan amount is not reached by the anticipated start date, those who signed up for the participation would be notified of a delay and a new start date would be set. So basically you're loaning your money, and I believe it's going to be, it's almost like a peer-to-peer. They're in between, other people are borrowing, and so even though it's not really a peer-to-peer, it's not like a Prosper, but this is what they're collateralizing someone's digital assets to then loan them money, and so there's a lot that they're doing in the process. If someone is taking out their loan and they're then taking digital asset to loan, but they're not reaching the minimum number, I mean, you guys can go in and read it in more depth. I don't think I have to really get into it at length, but it could be a little it can seem a little confusing on its face, but it really isn't. Again, if the minimum, this is what they're talking about, loaning out. So I don't want to really dissect that any further. Now, when do I know the exact interest payment amount for the program? When do I know the exact okay, whatever they sign, the strike price is determined on the start date. So their interest rates can change, and they're going to let you know what the interest rate is when the loan initiates. So on the start date, not strike, yes, the strike price on the start date. The current market value of the digital asset is recorded, and the annualized interest rate is applied to calculate the total interest you receive. Now, the interest they're paying out is based on current value, even though really, if you look at it, it shouldn't really matter what the current US dollar value is if they're paying you an interest based off of your individual assets. So if they're going to pay you, if you have 1,000 XRP and they're paying you whatever percentage annualized, then that's the percentage that they should pay you based off of the total amount held, but they are somehow tying this to the current value, and then determining they're tying in the interest rate based on the value of the digital asset at the time it was recorded back to the USD value. Now, what is the Cred earn schedule for interest payments? Now, this is where it gets a little sticky because the yield is set for 6 months maturity. It's kind of like a bond. It's like a 6-month bond. Now, you put your money, you put your digital asset in. It's 100% tied up for the term, for that 6 months. So you have to, again, make a determination as to whether or not you're okay tying up your digital asset for the term of those 6 months where you have no access to it. Now, they are going to start paying off interest, and I believe that when it's somewhere down below when they actually start, maybe it's here. Hang on. Oh, yeah. So each yield program is set for 6 months. Interest payments are made quarterly. So at maturity date, the principal is returned to the customer along with the interest payment. So paid out quarterly, but being held for essentially 2 full quarters. So you're going to get paid twice on it. Once midway through, and the second, when they release the funds. So that's the tie-up. Now, if we go in a little bit further, what happens if the value of my asset changes during the duration of the Cred earn program? Now, this is irrespective of market conditions. You will still receive USD or stablecoin equivalent interest payments based on the price of the crypto at the start date, and that's it. So now, what are the digital asset types they currently accept? BTC, XRP, ETH, US dollar, euro, gold, and with plans for additional assets in the future. So right now, digital asset wise, there's 3. This is a significant milestone as well, being that they're putting really only the top 3 digital assets. Normally we see, like on Coinbase, they're playing around with other digital assets. They're not putting XRP in the mix, although a lot of exchanges globally are beginning to add XRP. We see a lot going on with Binance. I think it's significant that Cred and Uphold are tying up to provide interest on Bitcoin, XRP, Ethereum as the 3 primary digital assets. They're allowing you to invest US dollar and euro, gold. So this is interesting. I think it's a really interesting dynamic. Now, when we get into the interest rates, and then we're going to go down a little bit further, it's going to talk about whether it's secured. Now, here's another big plus. So you really have to decide how risk adverse you are to really participating in a program like this. Again, on its face, a lot of the concept of it is very sound. It's really a nice program. It's the beginning of a trend that we're going to really see a lot within the banking industry shift to. We're going to see a lot of changes. We're going to see a lot of blurring of the lines between digital asset exchanges and banks and traditional banking. And Uphold is taking one of the biggest steps forward, and one of the first big steps forward, although we see others that are initiating as well. But now when we look at the interest, this is really significant because this is an annual percentage yield, but still, when we look at it in terms of if you have your digital assets tied up right now on an exchange or sitting in exchange or sitting on a ledger, you're getting 0 interest on it. Now, what they're talking about is paying out a 10% annualized percentage yield on Bitcoin, a 5% on XRP, 3% on Ethereum, 3% on US dollar, 3% on euro, and 2% on gold. Right now, if you put your money, your fiat currency in a savings account, you're lucky to get 1 or 1.5%. Here they're offering 3% right off the bat. Ethereum, 3%, XRP. Again, if you're not risk adverse to tying up your digital asset right now for 6 months with no access to it, it gives you an opportunity to earn 5% on your XRP and 10% on your BTC. Those are significant percentage returns. However, and I think there's a big however, and I do need to indicate at this point, I'm not providing any form of financial advice. As you know, I've said it multiple times, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm merely going through and showing you the pros and cons of something that Uphold and Cred have partnered on to provide and really providing my opinions on what I see as the trend moving into the future. And if you decide to do this, really you're doing it based on your own research and your own decision. Now, when and how do I receive the interest rate? Interest payments start and accrue on the start date after Cred successfully debits from your designated Uphold wallet. Interest payments are made every 3 months. We talked about it once a quarter. Now, let's go down here because this is really where the risk, your risk tolerance comes into play. Is Cred Earn FDIC insured? Cred is not a bank, and the Cred Earn product is not FDIC insured. This to me is a big deal because you know right now that you're taking a risk holding your digital assets on specific exchanges, if not all exchanges. You're better off controlling direct access to your digital assets. Many talk about it. You have the Ledger Nano S solution. You have other solutions out there. The key is that you have control over your digital asset. Now, what is the likelihood of a Coinbase or a Binance getting hacked? What is the potential of an Uphold getting hacked and you losing your digital asset? I don't know. You know, we saw what happened with Quadringa CX in Canada. Maybe that was a fluke. They were mismanaging funds. The CEO dies. He takes the only key with him. Everybody loses their funds. We've seen other exchanges hacked. So you're basically, at this point, taking control. Now, again, is Gemini going to be hacked? Is Uphold, Coinbase, Bitstamp, or any of these major exchanges that exist today putting themselves in a position where there's a potential for them to be hacked? I guess anything is possible. It's probably on the outskirts of the possibility. However, and really, again, we have to always come back to this, you're better off controlling your own destiny at this point. Now, if you're determined to invest through Uphold into Cred, you're taking 100% risk that everything is going to go okay. Now, is there a chance? There's always that off chance. Most likely, it's going to be safe and secure, but who knows? And that's the big question. The fact that it's not FDIC insured, is it worth the 5% or the 10% annualized return on your digital asset, or the 3% on Ethereum, or the 3% on a fiat currency? Is that marginal amount that you would make, and you have to make that determination for yourself, is that risk valid for the amount of return that you're going to get after 6 months of completely tying up those funds? So again, if you put a US dollar or euro, you're tying that up for 6 months, just like you'd put it into a bond, but most bonds are insured and backed by FDIC. Now, again, in this case, you're not getting any type of FDIC insurance coverage, so let's leave it at that. Now, who should consider Cred Earn? The program is great for everyone who wants to earn a return on your assets over time. This is their statement. Who should it be? Now, again, yes, in concept, everybody, anyone who wants to. If your digital asset is sitting stagnant and you don't anticipate a huge bull market, you don't anticipate selling, even if there was a huge bull market tomorrow, you really have to make that determination for yourself. I will fall back on this fact that it's not FDIC insured. That's me. That's really, again, I'm just pointing that out here. So if you have any questions, further information, you can find this online. I'll put a link to this. And, you know, again, it's your risk tolerance. The world is changing right now. You know, it's very, very interesting, you know, overall. You know, we talk again, you know, we started off the morning talking about Uphold. We started off talking about BAB and BACS, and I'm going to do another video on that as well as I dig a little further into understanding what it's all about. The lines of traditional banking and digital exchanges are blending, and we're going to see more and more of that happening, I believe, over the next year, 2 years, and really the whole the way we transact in our currency. And even we might get to a point where we're putting our paychecks directly into an Uphold. So hey, you know, if you enjoyed today's video, I might have gone on a little bit longer than I wanted to on this one topic, but I thought it was important to cover it more in depth. But if you like today's video, please remember to give a thumbs up, leave some comments below, and if you haven't done so already, subscribe to the channel. And just a quick note, every Saturday morning, 8 a.m., live stream, Morning Crypto with the HODL Report. Again, I look forward to seeing you on the next video, and until that time, keep on hodling your crypto.